Welcome back to the garage and thanks for hanging out. If you remember a few episodes back, I picked up this 1989 Si CRX and the motor was pretty much just garbage. Here, I'll let you get a look at that. Everything was just kind of torn up. I know I haven't shown anybody yet, but there you go. So it's basically missing a few things and the motor is no good. Even got a spun head stud right here. So this one's nice and wobbly and loose. I've sourced a motor from an EG. This is a 1.5B7, so it's just a simple 1.5 engine, but I think it'll power this car good enough. I'm gonna try to strip it down just down to the long block and get rid of all the OBD1 stuff so I can get it set up to go into this OBD0 car. So gotta get it on the engine stand. I'm just gonna go ahead and put a head gasket in it and a water pump and just kind of get it prepped to go into this car so whoever gets this one on down the road doesn't have to worry about any of that stuff. I gotta get this motor onto the engine stand and then get the head gasket done. Now it's on the stand, I pretty much have access to everything. I can flip the motor over or whatever I want to do. So I'm gonna make sure it's all drained out and get all the fluids out. And then just change the head gasket, the timing belt, the water pump, all the standard stuff. That should make this a fresh new little engine for somebody else in this 1989 CRX Si. Look at all that there. Head bolts tight. Not like on that one. A little noisy, but not bad. It's a good thing we got a new one. A little dirty, so I'm gonna clean this up. So that's cleaned up but not clean. The intention is actually to pressure wash this whole thing, but when I put the timing covers and all back on, it won't hit all that. So I'm gonna assemble everything, put the transmission on that's in this car, get it all assembled, and then wheel it outside and pressure wash it eventually. So that'll get the whole motor clean, but for now, I just wanna get some of that grease that's all gonna be behind the timing belt. Now I just need to get these head bolts out of here, and then we should be able to just pull this head right off of this block and get the bolts out. Oh, they just smell something awful. Oh, oh, they smell like a paper mill. Oh, it's just awful. And with that, I should be able to just lift the head off now that the bolts are out. I got some rags laid down there, so when I set this head down, I don't want to set it on that bare metal. But, oh, it's stuck on the dowel pins, but there it is. All right. Let's see what we got. Oh, yeah, we have got a totally Just bombed head gasket. You can see it's kind of just melted all over the head right here. Check it out. It's really, really bad. So I'm going to have to go back and I guess just scrape all that off and make sure that that thing gets nice and decked flat before we put it back together. There's just gasket material just everywhere. So it's going to be one hell of a thing to clean. It is what it is. So I'll get on it and get it all out of there and get a new gasket in there and get it reassembled. Well, I think it's pretty smooth, so I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna spray down the head gasket with some copper spray, and hopefully that'll fill in any of the little blemishes or whatever that are in here. If there is any, it definitely feels flat, feels really good, but it looks really bad. But the copper spray should take care of all that. I've seen this before, and it turns out just fine. Can't forget the block. Well, again, not perfect, but it's gonna have to do. Checking it out, Joe. Since the dowel pins were stuck on the head, I went ahead and slid the head gasket onto the dowel pins, and it stayed really nice and tight in the head. Just gotta bolt it down. Now I have to crank this thing up to like 49. All right, that should have it torqued down and all set, ready to go. We gotta just finish all the rest of it up and get it cleaned up. Right here, you can see there's a tiny little mark on the crank right there, that little tiny one, and it lines up with the arrow back there on the oil pump, so that's good. We know that the crank is in time. And then up here, you got two lines that go across the plane of the head. You gotta make sure they're lined up with the plane of the head because you can't normally see this extra one down here that you have when you have the timing cover on. But you got that one, you got the plane on the head, and then obviously it says up right there. So don't screw that one up because it says up right there. All right. Now I got that strapped on there. I'm just gonna make sure that my timing marks are all still in spec, and then I can go ahead and spin it around and use that tensioner to tighten it up. This is not the right way to do it, but this is how I do it, so watch. So, like I said, this isn't the right way, but this is a way. This is a coat hanger, just a plain old coat hanger, and I put a little handle on it. Got a little hook on it. So I go down here inside where the tensioner spring is actually attached to the tensioner right there, and it locks in that space. You can see the spring is here, and it hooks there, hooks there. So I hook it into right there where that tensioner is, and I'm able to basically just lift up with the coat hanger and take that tension out of that belt and out of that tension. I can hand tighten it down, and you can kind of see that I've got pretty good belt tension all the way around. We'll go ahead and turn it over a few times to make sure it stays in time. I know that's not exactly the way the book tells you to do it, but it's the way that I've been doing it for years. It works on B series, it works on D series. So I have to turn it over a few times. I just want to check and make sure that everything's in time, but it looks like we're good to go. If you look right here, you can see the little mark on the crank is right there, and it's kind of difficult to see, but the little arrow is actually just right back there on the oil pump. And they're pretty much in line, and then you have this little mark right here, which is in line. These are on plane with the head, and the up is in the up position. You don't want to screw that up because it just says up. Well, it's moving along at least. I just need to throw the valve cover on that, and I'm going to quit on it for today because the next thing I want to do is get that motor and all of that stuff pulled out of there so that we can transfer over whatever we're going to need onto this one to get it to be OBD-O. So I guess that's going to wrap it up. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for today, and I guess I'll check you guys next time, but you know what to do until then. Stay mad. Thanks for watching.